All right, so we are going to continue working on the UI of Simulacrum. The Simulacrum server serves both an endpoint for the running the simulators and accessing it via GraphQL, but it also has a UI that you can currently it's just a graphical instance to make it easier to query, but we're sort of expanding on that. And we are going to continue working with React Flow. This is a library that we can pass it some data with. We'll have to customize how our data's shape looks a little bit, but after doing that, we get these fancy interactive components that we can make. So this is just a React component, which is really cool. So we started this last week, and we got to the point, we have a demo, and we got to the point where we have a demo of this with just some where are we? Just app. With just some initial elements. This is what we're working off of right now. So from there, we want to bring in this data dynamically, and that's sort of where we ended last time. We were trying to figure out how to best bring that data in, and I thought we had a way to bring that in easily, and I thought it was a specific package within one of our existing packages in this repo. And it kind of was. We use graphql WS, which is WebSockets. WS stands for WebSockets. And I was thinking that we were using this specifically, but in reality, what we can do is we can pull the client directly. And I think that's going to let us run these queries. So it'll give us access to the create client. So on the front end, we're going to create a client, and that client is going to be the thing that connects. And that the thing that, or once it connects, then it can run these queries. And it also has access to the state, which is a subscribable thing. So I think this is the route to go. So let's get into the UI folder, packages, UI. So the UI is a parcel-based app, and it gets served by the Simulacrum server. So I think what we want to do here is we want to watch this. So anytime we make a change here, the Simulacrum server is going to pick it up, and then we can start the Simulacrum server separately to see the UI. And the UI will then start. The server will then be able to populate the data. So if we do watch, nr is just an alias for npm run. And while that's going, we want to go into server. That's fun. Starting it off good. Packages UI app. Yes. Hmm. It should be in the workspace. I think what might be happening, we're gonna kill that. Remove dist and node modules. Let's just build at the root. I wonder if I just have stale dist or node modules or something. Yeah. Yeesh. Remove parcel cache as well. Okay. Hmm. Okay. I'm gonna say that node modules. We have all those downstream node modules. Yeah, I thought I might do that. It's actually running through node modules and yeah. Okay. Do that first. Now that's gonna remove all of. That's gonna move the root one. And then what we want to do is say, I'm a big fan of, so this is new shell making my slashes this direction, and I'm used to them being the other direction. I'm not particularly fond of that, but so it's going to be everything's 2 folders deep. So we have like examples, and then we've got another folder. I think we can do this. And that's going to remove nothing apparently. I mean, we might have gotten it all. Parcel cache. Let's remove the ts config.ts. Yeah, so pmi. So hopefully we have a clean slate. There's this dist that I didn't remove. I don't know if that'll actually make a difference or not. And I don't know why that one didn't go away. I think we have a clean command too. I probably could have just used that, but at this point. So npm prepack. You're gonna give me troubles here, aren't you? Starting off troubleshooting. We haven't even done anything yet. All right. I'm not sure what those errors are. Failed with error. Because it looks like it's finishing. UI server. Repack failed with an error. Oh, it's probably that copy. Um, because I think that's using the built-in copy. I think this is gonna work in Bash though. It does not. Furious. What the heck? That's definitely the issue. I mean, I don't think that's a big deal. So we're just gonna sit on that. Okay, so we've got packages / UI. We want to watch this. We want to start the server. Start. So that should give us our graphical instance. Now, I don't think there's anything else we needed to start. Oh, we're gonna set a port because I don't want to have to like type that in every time. Hey, look at that. You remembered. Localhost 6500. Okay, so here is the graphical instance, and now we should be able to do graph, and I think that'll take us to our graph. Yep. Okay, so this is kind of where we were last time. Here's our custom node. So these are all just React components. Now we didn't need to bring in the data. So so data client. And I think we can just, where do we bring that in? We are server URL equals server. Okay, so it's establishing a WebSocket. So here's the subscription URL. So do we need to do that? I think we probably want to do it here. So we're gonna go like this, and then I think I'm gonna do import something from @simulacrum / client. And then we need to bring in the actual client. I think we need to create a client, in which case I guess I want that client mounted. We're probably gonna move this, but I'm gonna just put it in the graph page right now just to kind of keep it separate. But I suspect we're gonna want to move this. So we're gonna do create client. That is going to let us get to, where is it? Oh, I must have just been in here. Yeah. So that is going to give us access to the create client, and I guess that's the only thing. So we're going to create a client, and that's very similar to what we would do in these other places. We're creating a client. So when we start this up, we already have a simulation server. So all we need is the URL, which, if we're creating the client and we're doing it here, I'm going to have that ready. So I should probably do it here. So let client equals create client URL. So now what we can do is say that, and graph page is going to be client equals client. That will give us the client. Let's move this back. That's fine. The reason we're doing it in the app is that the app is much less likely to re-render. And oh, we do have a client already. What? Oh, it imported it for me, didn't it? Fine. Okay, so now we've got the client on the right here. So we should be able to do this and see that we've got this hooked up as expected. Console.log, my old trusty friend. I'm gonna misspell client every time, aren't I? Oh boy. Programming is not the hard part of this. It is not the hard part of this. Okay, so that was our previous. We had did a fetch. So use effect, we are doing a fetch. Graph page. I put this in the wrong spot, which is why it's not working. My graph page should be getting the client. Then we're probably gonna do stuff here. So I'm actually gonna say, I don't really need box right here. So on use effect, right now it's just posting and hitting the query, the query endpoint, which doesn't really have anything on it. And I don't think it really needs anything on it because ideally you want to subscribe to this. Client is not defined. Well, why aren't you defined? Client is synchronous. Okay. Client is not defined. Interesting. So I'm passing it to graph page, client, client. I spelt it with I-E-N-T. I-E-N-T. There. Oh, it's that one that's throwing the error. Okay, that makes sense. So here, now we've got this, and now we have access to the state. So I think we can do, because that's going to be subscription now. So dot state. So what if we do this? I'm just curious what it's going to give us. Okay. Well, I guess I'll keep that open for now. I think we're gonna need to look into how client is used because I don't remember offhand. So from the client, you can do things like create a person and then do stuff with it, which is great when you're doing tests. But when you're running this server and you want to be inspecting this, you're likely going to be the one doing this, or we're going to have some defaults that set it up for you. And just kind of populate that data. So I don't think we need to do anything other than create the state here. But I don't know that we have yield. Missing that after argument. Yeah. Okay, so it is an iterator generator thing. So how should we best integrate this? So we got the client. We probably just want to give the elements. So in a use effect, we could say, I'm curious what this next is going to give us tasks. So I wonder, is there, so we need a good way to subscribe to this. React admin. I'm curious how they're doing that in React admin. And that might end up dictating how we want to do it there too. So we've got providers. And I think it's more of a REST sort of situation. So we would need to give this access to like upserts, deletes, whatnot. We can mostly do that through GraphQL directly, I think. Oh, that's kind of nifty. They do a master and a next. Okay. Documentation. So, I mean, this feels very REST-like. Get list, data provider. So I don't know that it's actually gonna have any like subscription kind of stuff. I wonder. So like, this is very much like querying. Rather than a subscription kind of setup. That's kind of nifty. So I think what's going to end up happening is, I mean, yeah, and that's where we were before. JSON servers, simple GraphQL. I mean, we could look at that real quick and see what they're doing. Build query. So they do some stuff. Build GraphQL. With some GraphQL stuff to build up the actual query itself. Get response. Okay, so we have a bunch of enums, and then that's how it's doing this, mapping it to the data provider and what it does. Interesting. So it kind of seems like they're putting sort of like a REST a REST layer on top of the GraphQL. and not actually using the GraphQL. So I don't know that they're even doing any subscription kind of stuff. Subscription, just to double check. What is this? Oh. Ah, okay. That's in the form stuff. Okay, so that's not gonna help us out at all. I think let's double check that we don't have anything already in client that can help us out. So we're using GraphQL WS, isomorphic WS, and affection. We could use affection. This is actually going to be the first time I use it in the browser. I've used it in Node a bunch. Do we have it as a dependency ready? Because that would great. Don't. That's not the end of the world. We're using it in a lot of other places. So we could effectively use affection to subscribe, and then on every we do a use effect, and every time there's a new data on the subscription, it would re-render basically. I think so. Really quiet, chat. I need my rubber duck. Okay. I think that's going to be the way we go. So I'm going to do a bit of a refresher on. Let's see. I think I got some docs on this. Open. Yes. React integration. Bummer. That would have been helpful. This is probably gonna what's gonna end up triggering writing this. Okay, so we can yield on it. So we can say yield for each, and then that might end up giving us stream. This is definitely stuff that I haven't gotten into much with affection yet. I think this is newer version 2. So I'm pretty sure it's a subscription. Does it actually tell us? Where's my Simulacrum server? Here, okay. Not giving us much help there, are you? Prototypes, scopes. It's already got some affection stuff in there. So we might be able to just do something like, let's try doing await client dot for each I think we can just do something like this. This feels, so we're doing a fetch within here. Kind of surprised we're, because that should be a promise. I'm surprised that we're not getting set elements. Sure, we're gonna get it. Not getting caught by the promise being pending. Okay. Oh, it would be client dot state for each. Yeah, okay. Well, let's just double check that we don't have anything in the React package. Oh, that's not particularly helpful. Use subscription. And this is basically what we want. And that's pulling up subscription. Return state. Yeah. I think a function context, use context. Okay. Yeah, see, this is what we want. So we can create a context up at the root and put our connection in the React context, and then we can subscribe to it. So this feels good. Yep. Let us bring this in. This is going to be in the UI. We're going to do so install at effection/react. Now this should give us version 2, right? Dependencies, right? Ah. Blast, I put it at the root. Beta 13. Okay. I think that's right though. Discard. We don't want it at the root. We want it in the workspace at Simulacrum/UI. The workspace package, Simulacrum UI. There we go. Okay, so now that should, and we're gonna go ahead and pin that right away. Sync that lock file. Probably should just pin it from the get-go. Oh well. Okay, so now we should be able to bring in the client, and we got import thing from defection/react. Use subscription. So let equals use subscription. I think we can do this. So what does this expect? Subscription expects an iterable. So can we do client.state? And now what is that returning? It is returning state. So let I'm not sure what this is going to give us. So state, let's just log that out again. That's that, that's that. We do this, comment, and this state. Okay, we've got some for each is not a function. I wonder if that's supposed to be. I don't feel like that's right. Line 41. Did I forget to? No, state. So saying that it's failing on line 41. Routes, browser, app, graph page. On line 41. Graph client.state for each. It's expecting an iterable, so. Oh, is that reserved? We'll call it store. Naming stuff is hard, y'all. Okay. Do that, we'll do that. We'll do this, and let's log it out again. I want to be certain. Yeah, we're still getting something weird here happening here. So where are we calling up for each? It must be with. I mean, it's really only there. For each. Her. I need that stretch. Gotta get some of those channel point things or whatever, right? Exclamation mark water. So it's failing on. Oh. Oh. I didn't build it. I stopped it so I could install. Yep. 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 Okay, invalid hook. That makes more sense. Okay. Okay. Those are errors that I expect. So if I give it the state. Invalid hook call. Hooks can only be called inside of the body of a function component. Wait. I mean, it is. Right? It's before the return. Use subscription. That feels like an odd error. Okay, so invalid hook call. What am I doing wrong here? So return state. So use subscription should be giving me a state object, right? Context is a context. It would be really helpful if we hadn't nuked our readme on this. We don't, unfortunately, have a search. All right. I am going to just go ahead and double check that we don't have an example anywhere. Looks like we have some more examples to do. Events, reoccurring events. Okay, so I think what we need to do is test, yes. That, okay. The subscription return value. Okay, so the subscription is going to give us that. What's that? And that makes sense. Now what are we passing it? We're passing it props. Q.subscription. So it has to be a subscription. But what I'm not quite clear on is, so we've got this client. I don't know if this is gonna work in line here, but sounds like my cat's getting into something. We want to log out the type of client. Let's just double check to make sure. Object, okay, thank you. State. Function. Object. Well, you're not helpful at all. Thank you very much. So client.state should be I think I just passed it the subscription. I don't think I actually call it. So create queue. Go away. It would be nice to I could maybe bring in the infection inspector. I don't know that we have it hooked up well enough to bring in very quickly yet. Invalid hook. Hooks can only be called inside of the body of a function component. So what's interesting is okay, so it's definitely the use subscription. Yeah, but why is that giving me an invalid? So I started out by create a client. It is within it's within a see what's confusing me is it's saying invalid hook call can only be called inside the body of a function component. So there's something that I do not have correct here, I think. Helpers, render. And see, we do have this affection context. I think that's what's actually happening here is I need to have this affection context. So if we say affection context, and that's going to give us this. I think we probably just want to wrap all the routes. Do something like this. We'll just wrap the whole thing. Don't keep making noises. All right, so we're at about an hour. All right. Making a little bit of progress though. Did we save? Yes, we saved. Refresh. Still invalid hook call. Infection is not defined. Wonder if I need to add in affection. And it's not doing the scoping stuff right. That could very well be. Actually, I'm gonna keep that running because I already forgot that once. Simulacrum, npm, npmi -w at affection -w simulacrum /ui. So affection context should give us ability to pull it in from anywhere. Oh, value affection root. That's what there was. Kind of surprised it doesn't hook that up for you. Context. It does. So I think that's only if I need to do. Nope, I don't want a value. I can just do this. So it's required. So create context with the affection root. The affection context doesn't take anything though. So why is value required? That feels odd to me. Okay. Well, that's something. Okay, unexpected token. Expected JSX identifier. Fair. Can I put it in there? Why is that throwing that error? Okay, what is going on here? Alright, you try rebuilding again. Build failed. Okay. Unexpected token browser router. Return. It's not what I want there, but all I'm doing is logging. So I wonder if it's just giving me issues because of that. Yeah. Not a great error message. Okay. So if we drop in the function context, what does that give us now? An error. Okay. And this should be the provider. Provider. Okay. Okay. So we're setting it up at the root. I think it's not going to let us actually do it here, which is fine. I mean, I was originally going to move it anyways. So we got the context at the root. We've got, nope, not right there. Got the client there. We want to import them. We don't need that here. We don't need this here, and we don't need this here. This doesn't give us anything then. So directly within here, we're setting server store. That doesn't give us anything here. And that. Okay, what do we got? URL is not defined. Of course. Of course. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. I guess we can pass it down. Not terribly thrilled about that, but let's just make sure we can get it working first. URL. Okay. Back to the same thing. For better or worse. Okay, so something is still getting this issue with the use subscription. And I feel like that's not a valid error. Invalid hook call. So this is entirely possible. npm y react. What do we got? That's a lot. So we got React 17. Great. UI. So affection React pulls in React 17. So that really could be my issue. Various versions of React. I think what we're going to do for the moment. It's okay, just let me edit it. Okay, we're gonna just toss resolutions on there. Resolutions, just to confirm that this is indeed the issue. The 2. Let's try building again. I want to be kind of annoyed if that's the issue. From graphical. Maybe I need to put that in the root. Maybe that is best put in the root. Okay. Just to double check. I mean, this is basically what we're doing. Use context, set state, and returning that state. I think that can probably be fine. You didn't help us. You can go away. I kind of just want to make sure that that's actually the use case before going down this rabbit hole too much. Yeah, that's fine. We brought it in already. Yes, fine. That doesn't exist. Affection / React. That's fine. This is TS, so those should all be fine. What are we complaining about here? That's an interesting error. I think this should theoretically give us the same. Oh, something different. Scope.run. It should be inside of a context. I wonder if I do actually have a best value. That could very well be my issue. So this I was not surprised to have to go down this rabbit hole, or I was not expecting to, rather. Use subscription. We want the helper. Render is going to init. An affection provider. Value is that. And this comes from affection core. So maybe we can do import affection from affection. So that should give us that. I think we might still, let's just try this. Let's see if that does anything. I still think we might be having mixing React. Oh, we got something though. There's something there. And what if we do, take this out. Oh, that's interesting. Defining it twice. Well, son of a gun. Okay, so I'm doing server store here, which is use subscription. We are getting a task. Task is not anything particularly helpful. So 136. Oh, 136. Ah, scope. Okay. So I think that's right. Oop. That's giving me a task. And then we're erroring out on the for each. Subscription of for each is not a function. So what does my subscription look like? Console.log subscription. It's definitely not. So if I give it this, that's the actual. I guess maybe I don't have a subscription. I think I'm gonna need to look into, let's see, client. Ooh, what is our types there? State is an async or iterable. Okay, so there's a subscribe. And that returns a others, there's a state. So this whole thing returns a dot state. And that's where it creates a subscription. But I think what I want to do is subscribe to this. So, and I'm assuming that's going to give me the state. Subscribe. Subscribe payload. What is my payload? I'm assuming that has something to do with the... So it's not a function. Curious. So if we call this dot subscribe, it's not a function. I mean, it definitely looks like it is. What? Are we missing the code path? So create client has a function subscribe. Oh. And a function create. Okay, so create simulation, destroy, dispose. So state has the subscribe in it. Ah, okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So state. Return. So we get an iterator on state. So I think we do want to say here dot state. I think that's right. So that gives me that. So now I'm getting a subscription. So scope.run. There isn't a for each, which is odd. So, So anytime there's a subscription and the scope change. So subscription is just an iterable. You'd think that, so there's a next to cancel. I mean, it's entirely possible that we just missed something in here. Async iterator. Scope.run. And I switched to doing affection.root. So I think my scope is good. So subscription scope. Because my scope ends up being that, which there is a state there. catch. Is there not a dot run anymore? Dot run. Oh, there is a dot run. Dot run dot spawn. So it's just the subscription that it's expecting. So subscription, it should be getting a subscription. What is where is this? It's returning an iterator. So let's subscribe to that. So the iterator is I mean, I guess I could do this. Because that's going to return. Return stream.subscribe. So and what is a given destroy state? The state is going to give us an iterator. I don't think I want to actually do anything with this right now. So it just keeps setting the state every time. So we get a task, we get a next. It's got to be some other primitive. It's probably something obvious that I am completely not familiar with. So that's so it's definitely not a subscription. It's an iterable. From a publisher. A publisher is a function that takes a publish function. I don't think that's channels are used for communicating between parts of a system. yield subscription.next. I don't know if this is... I probably shouldn't do a while loop in there. So this is return from this, right? Yeah, test and hold. I guess I can... Interesting. So 47. So undefined 47 is undefined. 138. Value undefined. 140. Subscription scope. So the subscription doesn't really seem to be... It's an async iterator. So this is just gonna keep going until don't know if I can actually do that. So I don't need the while. I think what I'm gonna try is this. We still want to have the scope, and we're gonna be running subscription.next. And that's gonna be returning a value. And then we can do the set state there. Yeah. You definitely have something funky going on there. 47. We're not even hitting that. So use subscription. Okay. It's not expecting to be sucked into affection. So this is returning an async iterable. And promise iterable result. So what does that give us? Or what can we do with that? So core has a next function. So this shows up in core. And this is iterator controller. This is a generator. Create controller. And this is task. And task can do run, create task. So that feels right. We use subscription. This gives us an iterable. We're passing it subscription. We pull the context. We make use of the state, and then we're running it. And then it's going to, on each iteration, give us this. So first of all, what is it bothered with? I mean, I think we've always had this issue. Yeah, iter yield result. And that kind of leads me to believe I don't have something set up correctly. So we're getting, I mean, it's like that's not even being shown. So 35 and 47. So close. So we're calling use subscription, and we're getting server store. Server store is 47, which is undefined. So we're losing it in here somewhere. So and this did give us the the iterable. It's not even subscription at this point. 136 to 139. Yeah, see, we're getting VM stuff. Subscription is not a function. So what is it? Next, cancel. Feels like that should be next. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, that's something. And I'm not doing the scope anymore. So where's that .run coming from? We're just gonna hide that because I'm not actually getting anything useful there. So we're getting, it's weird that we're getting VM stuff there, but we're getting a task, and task does have what do we, oh, so there's a future. What are the futures again? I do not remember. I don't remember where those are either. Emitters. In core, create a future. Okay, so something is going funky here. I'm pretty certain that use subscription. Pretty certain that we're either passing something in wrong or scope.run subscriptions. I mean, it could just be that we don't want to even use subscription at all. Like, what if we just do this? Did it literally just need to be within an affection scope? Because that would be frustrating. That if it was something so minor. I mean, minor is relative, I guess. Cleared. Okay. What does our server store actually give us? Next and cancel. I feel like the create or use, oh, it's use subscription. It's not create a subscription. So if I do create queue, transforming streams, consuming streams. closing subscriptions. Yep, we definitely need to put a bunch of docs in here, which is fine. I mean, okay, so if we have a task, a task is going to give us task run. So let task equals run client.state. So then this is going to be, so import run from function. So we want to run that. It's an iterable, which is the same thing as a function. So that's going to give us a task. Now I've got a running task. And then a task is something I think that we can then create a subscription to. Okay, so we've got a task. Okay, so now if we say, I commented it out, yep, use subscription. Where'd you go? Here, use subscription. So can we subscribe to that task? No, we cannot. So that gives us an operation. And now we can say, task lifecycle, task. So as soon as we return, then it is done, and then we can. Okay. Before we look at subscriptions, let's look at that. So Q is subscription, taking the next value from the description, returns the next value. So if we have a task, now what can we do with that? So it's running. Halt, finally, consume, catch. So that operation is going to be run. Then we can yield to it. I'm not sure what happens now. I mean, All right, well, what time is it? We are starting to come up on time. We do have async iterators. It's also somewhat similar to async iterators. But it's not. So if I do client.state, this doesn't feel right. I still think there's some, I'm just not using this hook right, because something just feels off with that. Like I should be able to make use of that better. It could very well be that I've got multiple instances of React as well. But the problem is, it's gonna be hard to debug if it's a me thing or if it's multiple React thing or if it's something else. So state is taking the iterator. So scope.run. If we make it a task, hmm. We basically want a task to like flush this whole thing. It just feels weird that I'm not using that. I feel like I should be using that. Use subscription. Yeah. I think what we're gonna end up doing, I think what we should end up doing is going through in the docs and really knocking those out. Knocking those out of the park. Because I feel like it's almost there. We're just missing some key pieces, especially for this new stuff for me. And how they kind of fit together. So create client, it has a scope with a subscribe. The state is going to subscribe and then give us an iterator. Cancel. So like, I mean, if we did like for await, I mean for each, because I don't even know what that would be. Can I just do client.state dot for each I mean, I don't even think that's gonna work. Yeah, because it's not actually returning. Let's do mdn async iterator. Yeah, because we're gonna have to do something like this because it's async. Ooh, this is what I want. I don't think async's actually gonna work in here. Yeah, you can't call back on an async. At least I'm pretty sure. Which is probably why it's doing this task stuff. So if I do this, console.log task. Unexpected reserved word. Ooh. Oh. Hmm. Okay. So I'm getting a task. What can I do with this task? I can then it. I'm actually curious what. To JSON. What does that give us? I mean, that's kind of nice. So if we did, so there's let client state. I mean, we're creating the client. Okay. I think I do want to pass down the client. I think I want to create the client here. I'm changing all this up again. So client. We'll be fine with that. Client. We want to create the client here. Client's going to give us that. So client state is going to be client.state. And now we're going to say anytime the client.state changes, we're going to trigger this. And we're going to see if it triggers multiple times. So that's giving us something. I mean, it runs once. And it might run again if we... There's a dot state. What does that dot state look like? I think that's something. Test dot state is not a function. Fair. Running. Oh yeah. Yes. Because that's the test state. Then boop console.log boop. Nick promise. Okay. Don't remember promises in React. Don't think it's going to be happy with this. Yep. That's actually not as bad as I expected it to be. Destroy is not a function. I was expecting different errors or something. That's at least sort of recognizable. So we need to figure out how to get a task to run to completion. And I think that will give us task. But the problem is it's all async. Future, sort of synchronous. Okay, so future. Use a future. So future is similar to premise. So task.consume. So task runs it to completion. And then returns the future. So I wonder if we can do. This is getting into real. Yeah, like I'm not even sure if this is remotely close to the right direction. Return future. Kind of curious what, yeah. Oh, wait, I didn't do consume. Task dot. Task. Oh, create future. I have no idea what that's gonna do. Kind of just curious. Produce is not defined. There. Task. Yeah. I'm not quite sure. I mean, children, labels, options. Start. I feel like we're almost there. Type as a generator to JSON. We did that. Then makes it async. So I think we can like use this directly. Pending, running, completing, erroring, completed. Like we need to do something like this. Yeah. Yep. Uh-huh. Okay. So if I have a task, basically all the pieces that I want. What is the atom again? This has turned into a dig into affection version 2. Oh well. Oh well. What can you do? Atom. Yeah. So this is definitely 2. Something to look into too. This is going to give us some state kind of stuff, I think. But I don't know if it's makes sense as atoms. Inspect main walk. It feels like we wanna. Oh well, WebSocket client. I mean, I think that's what it's using actually. It's probably doing something like that. See, like this kind of stuff. Publisher. Function publish. Publish. Meter.on. Map filter match. And yield. Okay. And we've got the affection context. And we pull in a task. So create context takes a task. Oh. Oh. Hold up. What? Affection root valve. Where's the value come from? Like, it doesn't actually seem to be. Client state. Still don't feel like this is right. So if we do that, let task equal run client state. I guess we could just wrap that all into here. I don't really need to be passing anything because I should be pulling it all through context. And then here, if I give it this, what is that gonna look like? So I don't need this. Create client. Ooh. And then all I should really be doing here is use subscription. This actually doesn't get anything. Goodbye. So now let store equal use subscription. Yeah, still getting that invalid. And I mean, that could possibly be due to this. I mean, that it would be really annoying if that's part of the issue. We're gonna have to deal with that then. I guess it literally just means don't have it as a dependency. Client state is not defined. Okay. Cannot read property for each of undefined. So it takes a subscription. I do feel like I'm almost there though. Famous last words. How many times have I said that now? Well, I think we've about hit the end of it. 131. I think there's an issue with multiple reacts, which is frustrating. I'm gonna have to ask. An argument for subscription was not provided. So I need to give it a subscription. And where does that come from? That is the question. Like, because like, so what's in the scope here? Console.log scope. The scope is my task. Which is a subscription. I mean, really, shouldn't we just be like, should we just do something like this? Yeah. No dice. No dice. I'm curious though. So I mean, if we run it, I mean, we get another thing. To JSON. So it runs. I'm not sure. I don't know. I feel like I'm just missing something. Okay, well, we will follow up on this. It became affection in browser time, but we'll get that figured out and we'll keep on working on it. Thank you for coming or watching the replay, whoever stops by. What do we have? All right. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. I will see you next week.